Let's talk about something that keeps so many people stuck in relationships longer than they should be. They have this entire mindset and they're so focused on an individual's potential. They say things like, if I just love harder, if I stay patient, stay loyal, communicate better, then I'll finally get the respect that I deserve. And that entire mindset is so backwards. Respect should never be the end goal of a relationship. It needs to be the starting point. See, respect is not a prize. It's not something that you earn through suffering. It needs to be the baseline requirement for access to you. Because when the goal becomes getting respect, you start accepting relationships where you're constantly proving yourself, you're constantly performing better, you're constantly having to explain the obvious, but your nervous system stays on edge because deep down, you know that if someone truly respects you, you wouldn't have to beg for basic decency. And this is where the next trap comes in, potential. So many people are not in love with the version in front of them. Rather, they are in love with the version of an individual that they are imagining, the version that shows up after an argument, the version that showed up at the very beginning, or the version of them that shows up when they feel you slipping away. But the truth is, potential is not a partner. Potential doesn't comfort you consistently. Potential doesn't protect your peace. Potential should not be trusted with your life. And trust me, I get it. People can change. However, you should not build your life on the possible growth of an individual when they've repeatedly failed you in the present and in the past. Because when you're dating potential, you start doing this sort of weird mental math. You start grading them on their intention rather than their behavior. You start viewing apologies as progress. You confuse chemistry with compatibility, and then you consistently ignore the inconsistencies because you're so focused on the version of themselves that you imagine that they could be. And the worst part, actually the dangerous part about this, is that you make their growth your responsibility. You start watching all these videos, you start reading all these articles, you try a new communication style, you choose your words carefully so you're over functioning while they keep under delivering. Now let me explain the psychology piece as to why leaving feels so hard even when you know better. If you don't know me, I have one of my bachelor's of science is in psychology, and I also have a master of science in psychology. This is called the sunk cost fallacy. This is when you keep investing in something because you've already invested so much. For example, your time, your energy, your effort. So your brain is essentially saying, I can't leave because I've already put so much effort into this thing. But the truth is, the time you already spent is gone either way. Staying doesn't make the past more valuable. It just makes your future more expensive. So the question isn't how much have I invested, but rather how much will it cost me if I keep investing? Will it cost you your peace, your clarity, your mental health, your self-esteem, and even your future? And let me be clear, this is not about expecting perfection, because even in healthy relationships, it still requires communication and growth because people mess up sometimes. However, there's a huge difference between someone who respects you and is learning versus someone who withholds respects and makes you chase it. So if the pattern is disrespect, excuses, manipulation, inconsistencies, this isn't a communication issue, but rather it's a character issue and a willingness issue. They're not willing to fix these things. And this is why I'm so serious when I say this. The person you choose is the life you choose, not the person you hope they become, not the version they showed you on their best week, but the person they consistently show you they are. Because choosing a partner isn't choosing romance, it's choosing how conflicts will be handled, it's choosing how safe your home will be, it's choosing how you'll be treated when you're tired and vulnerable, and the kind of love that you'll be surrounded by long term. So if you find yourself thinking, I just want them to respect me, I just want basic effort, I just want reciprocity, you're asking for the starting point of a relationship. Respect is not a milestone. Consideration is not a trophy. And consistency is not a prize. A healthy relationship is not one that you have to earn your partner's kindness. So stop falling in love with potential and stop letting the sunk cost fallacy trap you into paying and staying for a relationship that won't even give you your basic needs. Love is not a project, and you are not a rehabilitation center. Choose someone who meets you with respect from day one, because that's where love is supposed to begin, not end.